Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule of the Galaxy fans. Today is a special show. We've got Joe in the pilot seat as usual. This is episode 153 of the Rule of the Galaxy podcast. And I'm really excited about it because the main reason we started the Rule of the Galaxy podcast was we wanted to rule the galaxy as father and son. My son, Joey, and I started this 2.5 years ago. And I was just really excited when I started following these two gentlemen here that we're going to introduce in a minute, who run the Father Son Galaxy Star Wars podcast, Keith and Kerwin Yard. So we'll have some fun. We're going to go about 30 minutes, just get to know each other, talk a little bit about fathers, sons, family, Star Wars, and all that. But I'll start with Joey, who's hopping in here. Joey, thanks for joining us. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what it's all about. Well, I know we're going to talk about it, but this is what Star Wars is and always has been. So excited that we got two father and son duos here.
Yeah,
and we're going to rule the galaxy.
That's right. Hey, feel free to take that, Keith, because I think it's free to use. So, we're actually going to try to make this a 3-generation thing here, as Joey's expecting his first son in September.
Wow.
So,
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. Super excited to bring in another one and teach him the ways of the Force.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
enough of me just spewing out tons of verbiage here. Let's go and introduce and meet Keith and Kerwin Yard of the Father Son Galaxy, a Star Wars podcast. How are you, gentlemen? And welcome.
Thank you so much.
Great.
An honor to be on your show. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joey.
No problem. Hey, you guys, actually, we feel like a little starstruck. You guys have all the good mojo going on. You were just at Star Wars Celebration, correct?
Yes, our first one. Yeah.
Okay, that was your first celebration, and you got to be on the podcast stage, correct?
That is correct.
It was quite a thrilling experience for our first time going to Celebration.
Yeah. It is. Joey and I went in 2019, and Joey, we went back during Attack of the Clones, maybe with Celebration 2 or 3.
Indianapolis. I think it was Celebration 3, and it was in Indianapolis, our hometown. So it was right before Attack of the Clones came out, and then for Father's Day or birthday gift in 2019, I got my dad just some tickets for me and him to go up to Chicago, and that was the year that Rise of Skywalker was coming out. So we had all the energy and excitement of the preview or the teaser trailer that they dropped that weekend, and Star Wars Celebration is so much fun. Holy cow, I'm so jealous. Did you guys get to see any leaked footage, like the secret trailers of Mandalorian? What can you tell us to get us excited?
We saw a little. We saw a trailer for Tales of the Jedi, as well as the first episode.
Nice.
Yeah, and
Really?
Tales of the Jedi.
You get to see the first episode.
Yes, they showed us. It's shorts.
Okay.
So
very good. Very good.
So basically, it's created by Dave Filoni. He just has these story ideas in his head, and he just felt one day he's just going to write them down. So it's actually, as far as I remember, there's going to be 6 episodes, 3 focusing on Ahsoka Tano,
and 3 on Dooku,
and 3 on Count Dooku and his apprentice.
Qui-Gon,
exactly.
Voiced by Liam Neeson's son. Because why not?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that his little man was in acting. That's great.
Yeah, that's what we heard. I'm actually now hearing, I'm going back and forth, and I'm hearing is actually going to be Liam Neeson doing the voice, or I'm not sure, which is interesting because
It could be a little bit of both. It might be a flashback.
Yeah, but he'll be playing a teenage Qui-Gon, and he's, not a teenager anymore. So I find that very interesting. Yeah, maybe have a son that sounds just like him.
I've heard the same thing. You guys, that I think the older Qui-Gon that's might be in there will be done by Liam, and maybe the younger by his son, which would be awesome. So here we are, fathers and sons, and they're doing the same thing in the animated series.
How about that? Yeah.
So I thought Joey and I were really being super creative when we did this father and son thing, and I grew up with the original trilogy. Joey grew up right at the perfect time, where I was 6 when A New Hope came out. He was 6 when Phantom Menace came out. So we were like, wow, we can do this. We had a radio station at the time that we could have access to. So it made a lot of sense. And how we've been doing this now for 153 episodes, I don't know. But talking to you guys, obviously you're not even at the same kind of age range as we are, Mr. Keith over there. This is, I mean, I know I've heard the story, but for our listeners, I mean, Kerwin, when did you start into Star Wars, and how did you bring Keith into it?
Sure. I went to see The Empire Strikes Back when I was 12. So I was 12 years old. And I don't really have much of a memory of seeing it. I know I saw it, but I don't really have a lot of, memory of who took me, what were my feelings, my reactions to the big reveal at the end. And then I saw A New Hope, which was retitled, Star Wars, as you knew, when it came out, and they retitled it and re-released it a year later. So I went to see A New Hope after The Empire Strikes Back, and things started to click a little bit more. I started to understand the story, and that just prepared me for Return to Jedi. I mean, I had 3 years to get ready to see Return to Jedi, and the hype train back then was magazines. They had a Starlog magazine back then. We had the NPR audio radio
Still
program.
Still love NPR to this day.
Exactly. And we had the TV commercials, so that was our hype train. And I just could not wait. And when I went to see Return of the Jedi, I took two of my buddies, 3 of us went to Manhattan. We were from Brooklyn at the time, and we traveled 1 hour up north to Manhattan to watch it at this huge movie theater with the big screen and the surround sound. And
Dolby, Rosetta Plaza.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and it's an unforgettable experience. Keith has heard the story so many times, so he can tell it better than I can.
It's memorized at this point.
Yeah, but that was my introduction.
This is my bedtime story now.
I hear you, man. I know the same thing because my dad was 6 when A New Hope when Star Wars came out, and he always tells me how him and his 11-year-old cousin at the time, they just got dropped off. There were no parents needed. They saw it. They thought it was the coolest thing. So we all have this story that our dads tell us, and we all know by heart. Trust me, I got you.
And I'm gonna bore my kids with this as well.
Yeah, why not? Thinking ahead. And so Keith is, he's the sequel trilogy baby. Like it was perfect timing that Keith was born in 2011 and The Force Awakens came out in 2015. And then once again, by that time Disney bought Lucasfilm and the hype train started up again. And I was in a bookstore one day and I saw these little golden books of the first 6 Star Wars films. I bought it, took it home, and asked my wife, Tanya, do you think Keith would be interested in these books? And she said, well, give it to him and see what happens. And he read them and loved them. And he could not stop talking about Star Wars ever since.
That is awesome. That's great. I love the different entry points for everybody, right? I mean, original trilogy, prequel trilogy, sequel trilogy. I think that's great. One of the things we talk about on our show is, there are people out there that their entry point was the video games. Their entry point was the Clone Wars, right? I mean, so to have it to where we're coming along right at the time that the big trilogies are coming out, it was good timing. So, so Keith, I'll ask you. We'll go youngest, oldest. How's that? And I'm not even going to bother your dad to ask him how old he is. I'll just pretend like I'm older. But do you have, out of the movies you've seen now, have you seen all the Star Wars movies? And if you have, do you have a favorite Star Wars movie?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say A New Hope because that's sort of what entered me into the whole thing. I feel like I should have watched the films in order, but A New Hope is so much better than The Phantom Menace when you compare the two. A New Hope is so much better than literally any Star Wars movie.
That's awesome. Awesome. Joey, how about you? We'll just go through it. A favorite movie out of all of these so far.
Yeah, no, I've had a lot of time to reflect on this and our journey here doing this. And I think that I think the best one is Empire Strikes Back, but I think my favorite is Return of the Jedi. That was the one that when I was 5, 6, 7, even still to this day, I could just put on, and I thought every beat of that movie was just so fun and cool. And always just sucks me back in. And then the ending where they're all partying with the Ewoks and everybody's happy, and it's it's very emotional, and it really hits me every single time. So I think my favorite, I finally landed on and just accepted it, that it's Return of the Jedi.
Okay, Kerwin, how about you?
Yeah, I'm like you, Joey. For many years, after that experience I had of going to see Return of the Jedi, Return of the Jedi was my favorite Star Wars movie for many, many years. And then I think maybe like early 2000s, I went back and rewatched the original trilogy and I watch The Empire Strikes Back, and I just find myself watching more and more and more because I would just get so much more out of it. I mean, I just love the storytelling, the characterization, the introduction of these new characters who are now Star Wars legends. To me, it's John Williams' best score. I honestly can't find one bad thing to say about The Empire Strikes Back. To me, it is a perfect movie, and it is my favorite film.
Yeah, the one bad thing I can say is you're right. There's nothing bad to say about the movie.
I can't think of anything. I really can't.
We have family friends who they said, well, let's show our kids the movies in numeric order. So they started with Phantom Menace, and these kids, I believe, right now are 9 and 13. And so they said, we're going to start with Phantom Menace and work our way through. And they reached out to me and they said, we watched the prequel trilogy, and then we put in A New Hope for our kids. And they were like, something's wrong. This is like an old movie. What happened? We were just watching these shiny, cool movies, and now it's old and grainy, and and it's just amazing to think the change and how people look at things like that. But Keith, I agree with you. It's hard to beat A New Hope. I mean, I was 6 years old, and that's what kind of changed everything for, as a little kid. I saw it and I was like, okay, nothing's going to be the same now that I've seen this movie. Right. But yeah, I think it's just hard for me to beat the original trilogy in general. I mean, those 3 movies right there, the beginning, the end, we all wanted more, but you could have just done those 3. And I think everybody would have been like, wow, that's a perfect setup of those 3 right there. So
yeah,
exactly.
Although we're really asking for more with the ending of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Then
you had old guys like me who jumped right into every book that they threw our way and spent all kinds of money on those. And hey, some of them were very, very good. Well, there's a lot of good books. I mean, heck, even the golden books that your dad talked about, we've got them right here on my bookshelf. So when little Frankie's born here, we're ready to go. We're going to be reading the golden books of the original trilogy. I think we even have the sequel trilogy now.
Yeah, we have them on our shelf too.
All 9. Yeah.
I want to get real quick. I want to get Keith's thoughts on, because even myself, as someone who's born in 1993, so I grew up with the originals because that's all we had, and then the re-release of the originals in theaters was a big moment in my life. But as someone who has a very, very fresh perspective, being 10 years old, right in the heart of it, what do you think of 7, 8, 9, Keith? What do you think of the newest movies?
Woo! I thought you'd never ask. Woo!
All right, we got a half hour. Okay.
I know.
All right. Okay.
Now I hope your schedules are cleared into tomorrow, because I have a lot.
Mine is.
But The Force Awakens was epic. Like, it was a great way to just get back into the groove of Star Wars, because it was a long break in between Revenge of the Sith, and then 10 years later we left off with The Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Although in reality it was about a 30-year gap from when Return of the Jedi was released.
Yeah.
That's true.
Up until The Force Awakens was released.
That's true.
And that's the gap that they put in the actual movie. It's been like 30 years after Return of the Jedi by the time we get The Force Awakens. So they kind of based that off of real life on that.
Yes, right.
Makes it easy to cast the people back in it, right?
Yeah.
Good point.
But after that, The Last Jedi, me and my dad had a competition where we watched the last 2 movies and tried to decide which one was worse. It had to be The Last Jedi. I was just, the fact that Luke just picked up his lightsaber and threw it over his shoulder. You have to see that Lego parody.
Oh, yeah.
He throws a lightsaber and then it knocks over a box that says Luke's character development on it.
I'm not, you know what, Keith, I like where you're going, but I think you're right. I think the 4 of us could probably go for a full day show on those 2 movies. I'm a big believer of this, and I guess I have to live this way, is I love all Star Wars. Some of it is better than others. And while there are people like me and you, Keith, who go, oh, I had a really hard time watching those last two movies. There's people out there, believe it or not, who will tell me with their dying breath, though one of those is their favorite movie in Star Wars.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And I get, I'm sure you do too. I get blown away. Joey, you probably see it every day of somebody saying, oh, The Last Jedi is the best Star Wars movie. And I just I bite my tongue and I go, I'm glad you love that movie.
Yeah.
I'm like smiling and nodding in my head. I'm thinking, oh my God, what is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
The Last Jedi is terrible.
Yeah.
How is it your favorite movie?
Yeah. But everybody has their own opinion, So,
Yeah.
Star Wars, the nice thing about Star Wars is that people get different perspectives and different ideals from each film, So
Exactly. You got to see it through other people's eyes.
Exactly
because
right.
The one movie you love is a movie somebody else had a hard time following.
Exactly.
And the one movie you don't like is something somebody else watches on repeat in their Netflix feed.
Right. And you just have to respect that opinion. Their opinion.
Yep.
It's not going to be.
It doesn't have to be fighting, right?
Exactly.
You don't have to fight about it.
Exactly right.
To Kerwin and my dad, you guys grew up, and like you said, you had 3 years between the movies. You had to search through magazines to try to get some sort of Star Wars. Now, in your adulthood, in middle age, we got these TV series being released. I mean, did you ever think when you were a kid, a teenager, young adult, wow, someday I'd be watching Star Wars TV series on Obi-Wan Kenobi?
I'll let you lead, Kerwin.
Absolutely
It's never
not.
occurred to me either.
No, it's I really thought, after Return of the Jedi, that was it for Star Wars. And I would have been okay with it, if it was just those three films, just like what Joe said. We just had to wait for so long to see another Star Wars movie, and that wasn't until 1999. So I was content with just going back, watching my VHS, watching my Blu-ray or DVD, whatever the format was at the time, and I was happy. But it was wonderful to see the prequel trilogy come out, and which was great. And then once again, there was this long wait for the sequel trilogy, and I said, okay, well, now I have 6 instead of 3.
Yeah,
I'm content with 6. I don't need any more.
And then once we got 9, it was like
So
because I just counted as 7.
Yeah,
and I count Rise of Skywalker Palpatine as a completely separate Palpatine.
That's all right.
That is not.
We're
my
still talking
Palpatine.
about the sequel trilogy.
He's going back. He's not going to let it die.
Apologies.
Okay. I've got a couple quick questions. Very quick. One, are you going to Celebration Europe?
Maybe.
We have not planned to go to Celebration. We don't have I know that the tickets, as far as I know, have been sold out. So we missed the boat on that. Look, I said the same thing earlier this year. Someone asked me the question, hey, are you going to Anaheim? And I said, nah, I doubt it.
And we went.
Right. So you never know what's going to happen between now and April. So.
Maybe a miracle will come through.
Well, we do have one of our co-hosts, Jessica, who lives in Chicago. She will be going, so we'll have representation.
Nice.
So we're excited. So we have a very good friend who's been on the show 4 times now. Did you get a chance to meet the gentleman who ran the podcast stage, Mr. Mark Newbold?
We sure did. Yes.
Ooh, yes.
Yes, we sure did. Yeah.
I owe him a beer. He is a great man. He's been on our show 4 or 5 times now. I'm glad you got to meet him. Next time I talk to him, I'll make sure that I said you said hello, because he's just, when I think of Star Wars guys, he's one of those Star Wars guys. So,
so Fantha Tracks, right?
Fantha Tracks. You got it, brother. That's great. Good. Joey, did you have a question? Or you mind if I throw another one out there?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So I would say that the 4 of us have been truly blessed when it comes to Star Wars, because we have these relationships built, right? Like, part of my whole family knows I'm the Star Wars guy. I'm sure you guys, wherever you are at school or at work, somebody's coming up and talking Star Wars, but you get to share it with somebody. Joey and I have bonded for 28 years over Star Wars. You two have bonded for at least 10 years on Star Wars. I think part of the thing of Star Wars that's really cool, besides Luke and Vader and different things like that, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on Rogue One where it was a found family, and Star Wars Rebels, where it was
I
a
love Rebels.
found family.
Love
I'll let
Rebels too.
any of the three of you guys expand on those two, because we live it one way, but there's a whole group of Star Wars fans who live it like those characters.
Yeah.
You wanna talk about
I
Rebels?
I honestly like Rebels because I didn't watch it when it was on Disney XD.
Mm-hmm.
I just started watching it on like Disney Now and Disney Movies Anywhere because, we had that big 53-inch Roku TV, still have it to this day. And all I would do is just spend hours surfing it and downloading every possible Disney app possible. I just said possible. But like I was saying, Dad had the Blu-rays for all 4 seasons,
Mhm.
and we still have them, in fact.
Yeah.
So, I would just load them up and I'd watch them on the Blu-ray player or on Dad's computer. And that just be something I would do.
Yeah.
That's sort of what got me into Rebels. And I especially liked the first season because, it's campy. We actually got to learn about the characters.
Mhm.
And the 4th one just it was really dark though, but
It
I
did
like
take a
the
turn.
first two. The first
Okay.
2 seasons are good.
It was hoping to pick up off of that with the Ahsoka series and Mandalorian season 3. See those folks, right? So hopefully we can, redeem themselves a little bit from the dark turn there.
Right. Exactly. Just to pick up on Rebels a little bit, what I like about Star Wars is family doesn't just have to be your blood relatives. Family can be a community.
It can be literally anybody.
Yes, right. It could be your friends. It can be your adopted family. It could be your teachers. It could be your neighbors.
It can be your sister.
Exactly. Right. And, so you're seeing different families in Star Wars, different family values. But the core of these families is love. The idea is love, right? It's about doing the right thing, helping people, taking care of people, knowing right from wrong. And that doesn't have to come from your blood relatives. It could really come from your friends and people outside of your home. So I love seeing those kind of family stories in Star Wars.
So do I.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, just Rebels, I think the reason that I love it so much is it's that perfect mix of in the universe, but out of the main storyline, right? It's showing it from a different perspective, but it still keeps you in that pre-New Hope, right in that era where it's just in this sweet spot of Star Wars where you're like, okay, oh wow, okay, Princess Leia shows up. Oh wow, you're seeing Vader every now and then, right? But they introduce these new characters, you fall in love with them. It's a different perspective from what you're used to, but it's still in that Star Wars feel. Everybody always talks about, I feel like you have to have the Force yourself to know what the Star Wars feel is, because you just know it, right? It's not something that you can really point out. You just, you know it when you see it or hear it or feel it. And that's what Rebels has always been for me. So I'm glad you guys enjoy it too, because I put it out there on Twitter sometimes. I'm like, yeah, Clone Wars is great and I enjoy it, but Rebels kind of speaks to me more. I find that more like watchable. I enjoy it, and some people they got on me about it. But yeah, that's just how I feel. That's my taste.
Well, as I said, I'm a big book reader, and the Darth Bane trilogy, which Keith might be a little strong for you right now. You probably need to wait till you're like 16. Then Darth Bane will kick in. But the Darth Bane trilogy was one of my favorite sets of books, and we just had Drew Karpyshyn on, the author. We were all geeked out completely. For like an hour and a half, we just asked silly, geeky questions. But Joey mentioned it, that Star Wars feel. Here's books that, were made 15 years ago that have the Star Wars feel. Like you felt like you were in the universe, but you didn't have to see Luke, you didn't have to see Leia, you didn't have to see Vader, but you still felt like you were right there in the universe. I have another random question for you. We asked movies. So Keith, we'll start again with you. Name me a favorite Star Wars character. Who's your go-to character? Ahsoka. That's awesome.
So we actually had the pleasure of meeting Ashley Eckstein in person at Celebration and at the Philly Fan Expo.
Yeah, awesome.
You guys. You're making me so jealous. I got to see her from about 15 feet away for an hour in an interview, but didn't get to meet her. So that is a great answer. That is why there's a series coming out. That's why her toys sell like crazy. That's why her universe is booming. Is because guys like you, Keith, that character speaks to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She reminds me of me.
I
Yeah.
like that. I
Yeah.
like that.
Very good.
Yeah, you're like ambitious, good with the lightsaber.
That's right. She's a teacher, like
Jeez.
right. And she,
But also kind of wants her own life.
yeah.
How
and
about
space.
go ahead. How about you, Kerwin? Do you have a favorite character?
Yeah, it's been Darth Vader since the original trilogy. And it's still there, even if I didn't know who Anakin Skywalker was, if I didn't know Anakin's backstory. I think just as a villain, on
Vader's awesome.
on the screen, I mean, there's no one like him. I mean, his presence, the suit, the intimidation, the voice of James Earl Jones, it's you can't beat that. But now that I know the backstory of Anakin Skywalker, I honestly can say that Anakin was not all of his fault. Anakin was misled. He was mislaid by many people. He was a little boy taken away from his mom at the age of 9.
Yep.
So that's not always a good thing, to take away your love, be taken away from your loved one and
then be forbidden
don't
to
even
see
know,
them.
right, if you're ever going to see them again. And then you have this this newfound family, the Jedi, but I don't think they really knew how to handle Anakin. I think they had an idea of what they wanted him to be, but it wasn't who Anakin wanted to be. So the Anakin Vader story is just very intriguing to me. Every time I look at it, I just get more out of it. So Darth Vader, definitely.
I would almost say, and maybe this is heresy, but I would almost say that the Darth Vader character and storyline ranks up there with today's modern, I don't know what I'm looking for. It's like you think of, yes, it looks like a Shakespeare, like stories from all those years ago that
Tragedy.
we look correct. We look on bookshelves in the library and we're like, oh, this is a classic. Darth Vader, 100 years from now, people are going to be saying it's the same thing with Darth Vader.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Sure.
Joey, how about you? A favorite character?
Yeah, I will always be a Solo family apologist. Han Solo has always been my guy, will always be my guy. Always thought he's just the coolest dude in the whole galaxy. And obviously, Harrison Ford is pretty much all to thank because of that, right? But then, I have a different tie-in with Ben Solo. Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, Adam Driver. That's more so for Adam Driver because he went to the same college as I went to for a year, and he's from Indiana. And so I pull for that. I love saying, hey, that guy can make it. It's for all us Indiana boys out there. And I thought he just crushed us, Kylo Ren and Ben Solo. But Han Solo, for me, he's not the biggest hero when it comes to, he's not using the Force. He's not a Jedi. He's just got the old blaster, but nobody cooler than that guy, man.
I always say that Han Solo is all of us viewing Star Wars.
Yes.
We don't have lightsabers. We're not Jedi or Sith. We're all kind of Han Solo, in Star Wars. He relates to us. So, I know Joey's got to go in a minute. I'll answer quickly. Growing up, blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy, Luke Skywalker was my man for the original trilogy. And then I got so hooked into the prequels and the Clone Wars and now the Kenobi series that every day I fight, whether it's Ben Kenobi or Luke Skywalker, who are my favorite characters. So I'm a man torn, but either one of those you could throw a stick. But I will tell you, Keith, Ahsoka is in my top 5 because here I'm a 51-year-old man and Ahsoka just rocks. She's great. So
absolutely.
But I had what else was I going to say? I forget. Joey, do you need to hop out? I know we're going where you've got to head.
Yeah, I'll get out of here. I'll wrap up. Keith, Kerwin, it was great talking to you guys. Thanks for hopping on. You guys are absolute superstars, and love the joy and positivity you guys bring to the Star Wars fandom. It's really awesome.
Oh, thank you so much, Joey. Thank you. This is a pleasure. Thank you.
Joey, be good. We'll see you soon.
Take care,
brother.
Joey.
Yep.
All right.
See you guys.
Kerwin and Keith, we'll just finish up real quick. I appreciate, like I said, I know your show, my show, unfortunately, I put 5 guys in here and next thing you know, we're talking for 2 hours and my wife's knocking on the door saying, "Did you leave? Are you still here?" You guys keep your shorts nice, or your shows nice and short and pithy, and people can get in, listen to your show, and hop out. I like that. I wish I was as trained and conditioned as you two are, because I think people would probably like my show better. Is there anything outside of Star Wars? I know I love Captain America. I love Batman. Outside of Star Wars, is
I
there?
love Spider-Man.
Okay, that's what I wanted to see. Before I wanted to break away and say, what's something else that draws to you in fandom? Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is the best Marvel superhero in the history of Marvel.
You heard it here first. Yeah.
I love it. Kerwin, you as well. Is there another thing outside of Star Wars that you're drawn to?
Oh yeah, we're absolute Marvel fans.
Okay.
I'm a comic book reader. Well, I don't read as much as I did when I was in my teenage years, but I bought comics back then
really,
all the time. No,
You
okay.
have a closet full of comics.
Well,
you have
okay.
a bin that's devoted solely to Moon Knight.
I was going to say that. I was getting the Moon Knight. Yeah. I started collecting Moon Knight comics back in the 80s, the first run.
Gosh.
I still have those comics, 40 years later. But yeah, I've been a Marvel fan for a very long time. I watched the old cartoon, Spider-Man cartoons from the 60s. They had those Incredible Hulk shorts and Captain America and Iron Man, Submariner. So I'm what Marvel is doing right now. I mean, especially what happened yesterday with San Diego Comic-Con, it was just explosive.
Wakanda forever.
It was just explosive. How much material and how many projects that Marvel has in place. So yeah,
Marvel is working themselves.
Yes, we are definitely into Marvel, without a doubt.
I sometimes, Star Wars is my first love. I will, go to the grave talking about Star Wars, but I do love me some Marvel, and I sit there, and sometimes our podcast will go on for half an hour tirade of, if Star Wars just marketed itself the same way that Marvel markets itself, it would be an amazing thing, right?
We just had that same conversation earlier today. It's like it was just amazing. I don't know if you saw or heard of any of the release dates and the projects. It's just amazing. They have a plan for the next 4 years.
I know.
Blade, Fantastic Four, 2024.
You just name it, and and sometimes I think to myself, well, let me just step back a bit, because we're a Star Wars podcast, our goal was always to talk about Star Wars, right? And like you, I love Star Wars. I will always love Star Wars. That will never change. But then, we also like Marvel. So we were kind of going back and forth. Like, should we talk about Marvel on a Star Wars podcast? Is it okay to do that?
Finally, we did.
Yeah, and then
trailer review for Wakanda Forever.
And then when we saw what was happening, when I heard that Marvel is going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, there's going to be a Marvel panel. I said, well, maybe we should just wait and see what happens. And then when you start hearing rumors about trailers dropping, I said, okay, well, if there was going to be any Marvel trailer that we wanted to review that was going to drop, it was going to be Wakanda Forever. And that's what happened. So we actually reviewed our first Marvel trailer just yesterday, and it's very exciting. So I think it's okay to introduce Marvel and Star Wars together. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that doesn't take away our love for Star Wars.
We have a very good friend of the show, Scott Rifen, who lives in Brunswick, Georgia, and he said that Wakanda Forever, or Black Panther 2, whatever the official, I didn't see, I think it's Wakanda Forever, but he said it was filming right down there. He said every day people would see all this great, fantastic stuff going on right down there by him. So I'm sure he's got a lot of inside scoops, but my co-hosts, all of them, tell me all the time, Joe, we should do a special show just on Stranger Things. We should do a special show just on Lord of the Rings. We should do, and I'm sitting there going, oh gosh, we could go with a show every night if we just want to do these extras. We will. I know we will. But I'm happy for you guys that you did that, because that's a fun thing. And I think we should all have our passion of Star Wars, but then have some side things that make us happy. So, so I'll tell you what, I'm not going to keep it. So what I'll ask is, what are a couple things, best ways for people to follow you, listen to you, buy any merch you're selling, subscribe to your Patreon, which I heard you did that recently. Give me all the inside scoops so we can leave as a commercial for the Father Son Galaxy podcast.
And then I have some trivia questions for you about Star Wars.
Oh my gosh. You want to hit me with those first? I would rather be laughed at and fail first, probably.
Sure. So, the first question is, name all 9 original movies from the Skywalker saga.
Do I have to do 1 through 9 or what does it
Yeah.
matter? Okay. Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, which I'm still mad that Ewan McGregor made fun of the title. Revenge of the Sith. It was just Star Wars for old guys like me, but now it's A New Hope. Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. It's sad that I have to look up into my brain and think about this. The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker.
Perfect.
Yes.
That is 4 points. Dad, you're in this too.
Well, wait a minute. I didn't even
I'm
know we were
quizzing you.
doing trivia questions. Okay.
Yeah, well,
This
I'm
is a
quizzing
surprise
you
for me.
now.
Okay. Oh, wow. All right.
Is
Go
there
ahead.
such a thing as a pear in Star Wars?
A pear?
Yes.
P-A-I-R.
No, pear as in the fruit.
Oh, pear. Is the only thing I think when I think of fruit, I always think of that scene in Attack of the Clones when Anakin and Padme are at the table and you see that fruit floating across the table. Anytime anyone says anything about fruit, that's the only scene that comes to mind. Does that have anything to do with it?
I asked you, is there such a thing as a pear? Yes
Okay.
or no?
Well, all right. I'm thinking fruit. Yes, I would say that is that fruit that Anakin used a force to travel across to the other side.
Correct. 2 points.
There you go. Okay. All right. Long answer.
Name all 6 Bad Batch members.
Ooh. Okay. Who's that for?
Me or Kerwin?
You.
Joe?
Oh gosh, 6 Bad Batch members. Oh gosh, you're killing me here. Wrecker, Echo, Crosshair, Tech. Oh, guys, I haven't watched Bad Batch in a long time. Hold on. Are we counting Omega?
Yes.
Okay, Omega. Oh gosh, what's the one that looks like Rambo? Hold on.
With the bandana, right?
Got a bandana and a thing on his face.
Yep.
And he's the leader of the pack, and I can't think of his name. I am totally blanking it out. Hunter.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh
3
God,
points.
that was scary.
How many?
Jeez. Now, Dad.
Joe, look, I did not plan this. I think
That's okay. It's all right.
Keith is behind the scenes on this trivia question. I didn't know this was happening. So thank you for your patience.
That's what 10-year-olds do to this, right? Yeah.
Name all the members of the Rebels team.
All of them?
All of them.
Oh, you mean the
You
Star-
better
no,
include
no, no, no,
Ahsoka.
no. I get it. Yeah, I was thinking the rebellion, but you just mean Star Wars Rebels.
Do them.
Nah, funny.
No
Okay.
kidding.
Okay. We'll be here forever. Wedge. No, I'm just kidding. We have Kanan, Hera, Sabine, Ezra,
Are you blanking out?
Zeb,
Yes.
and Chopper.
And Ahsoka.
And Ahsoka. Okay, yes. Yes.
Okay.
I think you got the easier one there. That's Bad Batch. Come on, someone's killing me.
Yeah. So I will do 2 more, one for each of you, and these
Okay.
the last
Okay.
question.
Okay.
One, is there such a thing as pizza in Star Wars?
My question for
You.
is there such thing as pizza in Star Wars?
Yes.
I have never seen anyone eat anything that looked like pizza in Star Wars. So I'm saying no.
That is incorrect. I'm sorry.
Okay.
There's pizza in Star Wars.
Really? When?
Did you not read the book?
Oh gosh.
Jedi Academy.
Jedi Academy.
Yeah, that counts as canon.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Jedi Academy.
they would have gotten me too. I had no idea.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
You better have a rough one for me because you've treated your dad very rough in this.
Yes.
Wait till the
This-
camera's off.
This one will be very tough. Name all the lightsaber colors.
Lightsaber colors. Okay.
That's-
Blue and green, red, yellow, purple, There's one more. Hold on. One more that I know of. Oh no, gosh, two. There's more. Orange. Cal Kestis. Did he have orange? Somebody said
Orange
he had
counts as
orange.
well. There's one
Okay.
more.
I thought he had orange.
Okay.
White.
That as well. Then there's still one more.
Okay, I'm gonna take a stab because is Darksaber the black one? Does that count?
Yes,
Oh man, I'm such a
Congratulations,
guy.
Joe.
you got it. You win.
Congratulations.
Keith, I'm gonna tell you right now, you should have given me the ones that stumped your dad and they were tougher because mine were fairly easy except for a few. I'll take it though. I'll take it. I don't want to mess up that bad. So thank you for challenging me.
Wow.
So people who are listening to our podcast will be able to say we can listen to this guy because he actually knows some of Keith's questions. So, so
Wow.
that was great. I will let you get. Like I said, I will finish up. Let you guys go. Give me a commercial. Tell me, for all the people who we're going to promote this on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and internet and Twitter. What's the best ways to follow and get all your stuff?
Yeah, commercial time.
Mhm.
So we have a brand new Patreon page.
Okay.
So it's patreon.com/Galaxy. Please check it out. Check out all our planet themed tiers.
Yep.
And we also are on YouTube for our YouTube page, Spreaker as well. So check out our Spreaker page or wherever you get your podcasts, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, Amazon Music, Audible, Overcast, Podcast Addict, the list goes on and on. So please check us out on there as well. Check our website, FatherSonGalaxy.com, and our socials, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at FatherSonGalaxy.
You got it. You got it. Well,
Never mind.
that was killer. First of all, is your wife in the room? I heard her speaking earlier. Is she back there with you?
Yes, she is.
I
Yes,
want
she
to
is.
tell her a special thank you because she puts up with you guys' craziness every time, and she was nice enough to do this for me. So thank you to Mrs. Yard.
So you're more than welcome.
And I personally hope. I mean, this was just a chance thing where I was like, these guys are great. I love it because I get that same vibe that Joey and I started with. I get it in you, except you've got the youthful energy of Keith, which we don't. We're just old goofballs over here. But I can't wait.
Goofballs doesn't make you old.
I hope we cross paths. I hope whether at a convention or
Absolutely.
something like that. And I'm gonna email you all. Well, you can find DDoc all over social media, but I'm gonna get with you to let you know how to get with DDoc because I think it'd be great for the three of you to meet up somewhere in the Philly area.
Wonderful.
It's been a blessing, and I really appreciate it. And to take a time out of a day when we all have things going on just to do this together with us means a lot. I appreciate it. You guys are. I know you won't believe it, but you're rock stars. People sit there and they're like, "Oh, this podcast is fun. This dad and son are so much fun." So thank you again for taking the time to be with us on Rule the Galaxy.
Joe, our pleasure. We never get tired of talking Star Wars with anyone. So, we love what we do. If we have one follower or 100 followers, we're going to continue to do what we love here. So just thank you very much for acknowledging that. And we would love to come back on your show if you'd have us again.
We'll do it when I have more of the crew. So
Yeah,
I'll let them be wild with you, and I'll just sit back and host like I do. I'm usually just pointing at them, telling them to talk. But Brent Dykeman, one of our co-hosts, says the same exact thing, Kerwin. And I'm like, gosh, are our numbers good? Are we doing well? And he looks at me and he goes, Joe, if the five of us just sit down and talk about Star Wars, he goes, I don't care if anybody even subscribes to the podcast.
Yeah.
And
that's what it's about.
Yeah, it is. So again, 1 second here. I'm going to mute. I apologize for that. I had a frog in my throat before we stepped away. Thank you guys from the Rule of Galaxy crew to you guys. We'll reconnect. And I can't wait to meet up in the future and get you back on the show with everybody. So thanks again for your time. And hey, until next time, may the force be with you.
All right.
Always.
Take care, everyone. Thank you, Joe. Pleasure.